Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions. Today, the watch that transformed the fortunes of the then relaunched Tudor brand. Of course, Tudor was already on the comeback track thanks to its vintage-inflected heritage chronographs, but in 2012, it launched a model that would come to define it in the modern era. This, the Heritage Black Bay. The original variant featured a red anodized aluminum bezel insert. The model right here came out 2 years later in 2014, the 79220B, 41 millimeters in diameter and stainless steel. The watch is 12.8 millimeters thick because these old ETA-powered variants from the earlier days are substantially thinner than the in-house calibers. 50 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. The watch was actually inspired by the 1954 Tudor Submariner 7922, which was the first of the Tudor Submariners. Although there would later be a Black Bay 54, this watch initially was the full vintage dive offering in the catalog, and so a larger case size was chosen to make it more appealing across a broad range of wrist sizes. The watch wears nice on my wrist of 16 centimeters circumference, though you can see the lugs are out to the edge. It's not overpowering, but I think we're pretty close to the limit here. So let's say a lower limit of maybe 15 centimeters circumference for wrist size if your wrist is flat across the top. It is thinner by far than some of the later in-house calibers. And it's sheer in profile, but it's not all that much thicker than a Rolex Submariner. And that's one of the benefits of the ETA 2824 caliber inside. It's fairly thin. Taking a quick look at the strap here, you can see it is calf skin. It's a very dark blue. It's got sort of a distressed grain to it. Monotone stitch in matching dark blue. It's sheer cut in profile and lacquered for refinement. You can see on the bottom, it's got a little bit of a suede inlay. And then we've got a single fold clasp that features the Tudor shield. Demonstrate that real quick. You can see this is the shield logo that was used 1968 and subsequent. The rose logo from early 68 and prior is on the crown and on the dial. If you look at the in-house Black Bays, they generally have the rose on the crown and then the later shield on the dial, but this is early ETA-powered Black Bay. By the way, these are harder to find than the in-house calibers. These may be more collectible in the long run. So you've got a thick gauge steel single swing arm. You can see that there are little spring-loaded ceramic pin snaps that are used to, and they're inside too, they're used to ensure that the snappiness or the tight tolerances of this clasp are retained over time because the steel of the clasp can't wear down the ceramic, so it's very resilient in that regard. Taking a look at the case, polished in profile, the case sides are sheer, but we've got these lovely evocative bevels from the era including the 50s, when Tudor Submariner and Rolex Submariner cases were both Rolex made and shared across the two brands, and back then they had case lug bevels. Now, these bevels are machine-laid. They would have been hand-laid back in the day, but they are evocative and charming. Polished in profile, satinated on the top. We've got sort of a large stem tube assembly whose barrel matches the color of the bezel. It is screw down, 200 meters, water resistant. Taking a look at the case back, not a whole lot to see. Very much like an oyster case back there. Taking a look at the bezel now, 60 click, and a very sharp knurling, a micro knurling that's easy to grip even if your hands are wet, sweaty, or gloved. Easy to line up that bezel pearl with the minute hand. Now you get a 0 to 60 minute count up timer. And note the seconds hand is luminescent, so you can tell whether your backup dive timer is working in the dark. I love dive bezels because they're so easy to read. I prefer them to chronographs, and you don't have the service costs inherent with chronographs. Now, most of this dial is 1950s, early 60s Tudor Submariner, with the exception of the handset center, which are inspired by the so-called snowflake Submariners, the Tudor subs of the late 60s through mid-70s. So those are the handset inspirations. The rest of it, with the chapter ring outboard, again, that's an older style of Tudor Submariner. You can see it's silver on black, and unlike the vintage ones, which would have had printed dials, here we have applique indices for a nice upscale look. I kind of showed my hand earlier. We have a Tudor 2824 in here, which is the ETA 2824 in Tudor service. Bidirectional automatic winding. It's got a 4 hertz beat rate. stop seconds or hacking, 25 joules, and a 38-hour power reserve. It is a tough, fairly thin, reliable, and surprisingly accurate timekeeper, and depending on how sharp a watchmaker applies himself to the task of regulating this watch, you could pretty much get all modern 2824s to keep chronometer time, so it's a movement that has a lot of inherent potential as well. The crystal is a sapphire, so although it is a vintage evocative watch, it does have a sapphire crystal. Lots to love, and like I said, these ETA-powered Tudors are consistent with most of Tudor's history back to its earliest days in the 1940s when Tudor would always use customer calibers. It's only relatively recently, the last decade, that habit has changed. And these ETA-powered Black Bays, again, there's fewer of them. They may be more collectible, but I can guarantee you they're a lot of fun. So reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.